Today's learning target is I can solve multi-step equations and inequalities.
Let's take a look at how we solve multi-step inequalities. So we know when we had equations that look like this, when I have 4 and then in parentheses something like this, I want to use the distributive property. So I'm going to go 4 times x and then 4 times negative 3. So first thing I'm going to do after I write the problem out is I'm going to write 4x minus 12, because I used the distributive property, is greater than 6. And now I know that my next step is to get rid of anything not attached to the variable. So here we have a minus 12, so I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Okay, there again I'm showing my work. That cancels out. I'm left with 4x is greater than 18. Now I want to get that variable by itself, divide both sides by 4, and that's going to get me x is greater than 18 divided by 4. And 18 divided by 4 is going to give me 4.5, or 4 5/10. And again, if you don't remember how to do that, let me know. If I have a problem that looks like this, the first thing that I'm going to want to do is use the distributive property on both sides to rewrite this equation. And once I do that, I get 4x plus 20 is equal to 6x plus 12. Now my next step is to get the variable to one side or the other. So here I have 4 groups of x, here I have 6 groups of x. So I'm going to take 4 groups of x away from this side, and then to keep it equal I have to do the same thing to the other side. So that gets rid of those, and on this side I'm left with 20. And on this side, 6 groups of x minus 4 groups of x give me 2 groups of x plus 12. Alright, now I want to get the variable by itself, so I get rid of anything not attached to the variable. So I'll take 12 away from here, take 12 away here, and I'm left with 8 on this side equals 2x. And now I know I divide each side by 2, and that's going to give me x equals 4. For this inequality here, I'm asked to graph the solution on a number line. So I can see this inequality is going to have multiple steps. So it's really important to start by writing down the inequality and then to show each step. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the distributive property in order to write that out. Okay, and I write out the rest of my inequality here. Okay, now I notice I have 5 groups of a here and 4 groups of a here. I want to get the variable to one side, so I'm going to take away 4 groups of a from both sides. Okay, so that leaves me here with a negative 12. Okay, I keep my sign the same. And here, 5 groups of a minus 4 groups of a is 1 group of a, or just a, minus 8. Okay, now at this point I want to get this variable by itself, so I want to get rid of this minus 8. So I'm going to add 8, and I'm going to add 8 here. And that leaves me with, it cancels out, a is greater than or equal to negative 4. And here I've made my number line. I'm going to start at negative 4, and I see it's greater than or equal to, so I'll fill it in, and I'm going to use a different color here, and I'm going to say it's anything greater than, so I fill it in just like that.
Let's look at an equation that is true for every value of the variable. Now, what that really means is an equation where we can put in any number for the variable, doesn't matter what number, and it's going to be true. And this is going to be an example of that.
So I'm going to work through this one quickly to show you when this happens what it'll look like. So in my first step, I use the distributive property to rewrite it. Next, I'll combine these two, and I notice it's a negative, so I could go plus a negative 15. So that's going to leave me with 3y plus 10, and that equals 3y plus 10. Now you're probably already noticing something. These are the same, right? If I continue to solve it, I could take 10 away from both sides, cancels out both sides, I'm left with 3y equals 3y. Okay, and if I really wanted to go all the way down, I could divide both sides by 3, and that leaves me with y equals y. When something like that happens, it's called identity, which just means, again, that I could put in any number, and it's going to make these sides be equal.
Some equations don't have a solution. So when this happens, it's called a null or empty set. And we show that by using this little symbol, the 0 with a slash through it.
So let me show you an example where that's the case. So again, I'm going to work this one through quickly so you can see what it looks like. The first thing I'm going to do is use the distributive property to rewrite this. So now that I've done that, I'd like to combine my like terms here. And I notice that I have a negative, so I'm going to go plus a negative 9 there. So now I have 4s and then plus that negative 9s. That's going to give me a negative 5s plus 6. Now I want to get these variables to one side or the other. So to do that, I'll add 5s in order to cancel out this one. So I'll add 5s to this side. But now take a look at what happens. When I do that, they both cancel out. And I'm left with 6 on this side and a negative 14 on this side. And we know that this statement is not true. Negative 14 is not equal to 6. So in that case, that's that empty set or null set. We can just put a 0 with a slash through it, meaning there's no numbers you could put in to s to make this equal.